There's also some very powerful financial interests that obviously want to keep selling us coal and fossil fuels. And
what about Sierra Club and WWF and those kinds of organizations?
Yeah, the funny story, one of the things I discovered in the research for my book, Apocalypse Never, is that the Sierra Club was pro-nuclear in the 60s. And it only turned against the technology when the Sierra Club took a very dark turn, a very anti-humanistic turn, deciding that there was too many people. It feared abundant energy because it was against economic growth. These are things I think are a little bit, that seem a little weird for people in developing countries like the Philippines. Why would you oppose cheap, abundant energy? But that's what happened in California. It also happened in Europe. And so then people just made up a bunch of myths about nuclear energy, claiming that it was extremely dangerous. In fact, it's the safest way to make reliable electricity, according to every major study. And so what we've allowed is we've allowed people to manipulate our fears around a technology that's proven itself to be the safest technology. And for me, it was just a matter of getting educated. I just needed to go read some books. I needed to interview some people. I think that's how it is for most people. And that's one of the reasons I made those YouTube talks about my fears of nuclear and why we had to overcome those fears.
Yes, I picked up the advocacy here as a legislator in 2007. It's been 13 years now, going on and more. And the more I dig into nuclear, the deeper is my conviction that for the Philippine context anyway, to have cheap electricity and a chance to advance our economy, nuclear must be the solution. Many Filipinos see examples in the world and they respect these examples, like Germany. They respect Germany. And they say, how can the Germans, who are so technically oriented, be wrong in opposing nuclear and supporting wind and solar? Yes, if you dive deep into it, you will be able to see where Germany is going wrong. But still, Germany is officially going in that direction. What's your response to that?
Well, I think you have to look at Germany in relationship to its neighbor, France. Here you have two big countries, the sixth and eighth largest economies of the world, and you can compare where they get their energy from and what impact it has. So here's one statistic that will blow your mind. France spends a little bit more than half as much for electricity that produces 1/10, just 10% of the air pollution and carbon emissions of German electricity. Why is that? It's because the French are 75% nuclear and the Germans are moving away from nuclear towards renewables. People think that Germany's done a lot, but it still only gets about a third of its electricity from solar and wind. Has some electricity from hydroelectric dams, but it can't scale them up. It does get some electricity from burning wood as biomass, but almost every environmentalist in the world, including Greenpeace, opposes the use of biomass. So really, Mark, the renewables experiment is over. They're not expanding the amount of wind energy in Germany because the impacts on the environment are too big. Those wind turbines, those blades spin, they kill birds, they kill the they kill one of the red hawks they have in Germany. They're very unpopular, they're opposed by people. It's funny because advocates of renewables claim that nuclear is unpopular, but really renewables are not able to scale up because they're so unpopular with people at the grassroots level. In contrast, in France, here they enjoy some of the cheapest electricity in Europe. They have some of the cleanest air in Europe. And really, they've become the leader of Europe. There's some concerns around what the future of Europe is with Britain exiting the European Union. It's clear that France is going to be the leader of Europe because it has nuclear. It's not dependent on imported natural gas from Russia. In some ways, Germany's got a similar challenge as Philippines. The Philippines is even more challenging because you have to import so much of your electricity, so much of your energy, I should say. France also doesn't have very much energy, but it produces it domestically thanks to uranium. So I think if you're looking for examples in the world, all you need to know is that France produces 1/10 of the air pollution and pays about half as much for its electricity than Germany.